These are very tough and desperate times when ordinary people are prepared for extraordinary destiny. 3 people, a woman and 2 men, have been remanded at the Agoro Correctional Center by a federal high court sitting at Ibadan, Oyo State, for their alleged involvement in the explosion which rocked the Bodija area of the state on January the 16th. Now, Justice E.U. Akpan ordered their remand on Wednesday after they pleaded not guilty to a 5-count charge leveled against them. Wale, these are crazy times.
Well, this happened more than a month ago. I think it was January 16. And personally, I've been worried that when are we going to have justice? But at least for now, we are on our way to justice, but the journey is still far. People have been arrested. A woman, 63 years old. A boy is 20 years old. Another person, just 3 people. And I think it's a movement forward, but it's a slow movement. Because there are still so many issues tied around. Some people are talking about 5 people dead. Some are saying 13. But we know some 58 houses were destroyed.
Yeah.
And so many people were wounded. And we also know about an hotel manager that died of shock. And also people that lost their sense of their memory, So it was a devastating,
And some sense of hearing.
Yeah, sense of hearing. So there are still so many questions, We have been told that there are other people at large. Who are these people? In other countries, when you say so, you are looking for people, you have their pictures. And then you send those pictures across the country.
Yeah.
And then you give a definition, their names, where they were born, who they are, their age, will be put there and advertised for people to look for them so that they can assist state authorities. So we are wondering that, okay, who owns the company? Who are the directors of this company? The people that have been arrested, I guess, are they just pawns in the political chess game? Or they are the real masquerade behind the curtain? And then I think I personally feel that incident should have led to a lot of drastic paradigm shift in terms of urban and regional planning in Oyo State, even at the national level. Because are there so many other similar warehouses where weapons of death are kept? Is there a mass campaign across the state that, look, if you have any information about people keeping these things, come and report to the police? Yeah. Is there a search, technical in one way or the other to locate if there are other, especially in mining communities? I know in Ekiti State, for instance, if you go to Ijero, mining is taking place there, and in some other places in Safara and all that. Do we have instances where people still keep this at home? Did they import these bombs? Are they entitled to importing weapons, military weapons? Who are those importers? Then when these explosives are being kept, we understand why they are going to the quarry. They are being escorted by security men. Who are these security men? Who may have known that these things were being kept? So I think they are taking them to court, but I think there are still so many issues. Personally, I was expecting that the Oyo State House of Assembly will set up an inquiry. That's nothing to do with the court case. Do investigation, call for public hearing, so that people can bring information about if there are other similar. Then what are we doing about gas? The possibility of gas explosion, which has taken place in Lagos, in Kano, and some other areas. Are we taking drastic measures? Are we learning from what has happened at Bodija to ensure that these things don't happen again? So it's a good step, but I think there are still so many rivers to cross.
Okay. Chris, your mind, I'm sure, should readily go to the cantonment accident during the Obasanjo time.
Yes.
As avoidable as it was, it came and caused a lot of untold, what might I call it, in the land.
Yes, it did. For me, first and foremost, I believe the security agencies dropped the ball because Intel totally failed us, or failed them, as it were. And I asked What's the role of the DSS? What is the role of the Nigerian police? Well, to a large extent, the NIA, and possibly the civil defense. I've not touched the military. I'm not talking about Army, Navy, and the rest of them. These three ought to know or ought to have basic information on security of life and properties in the country. How come that we have explosives that much moving into residential houses? If you know Bodija, Bodija is not a local place. If you know Bodija, which I know you know very well, Bodija is in the heart of the town. And you are seeing people moving this thing and no security agents was able to do anything. Then you bring that to the state government, the government of your state.
Sometimes you wonder if these things are deliberate.
That is what I'm asking. No, somebody has dropped the ball and somebody has compromised. Because if they did not compromise, how come that out of these security agents I've mentioned, the DSS, the police, the civil defense, and even the NIA, I leave it at that 4. How come that to none of these agencies, and that is what we'll always be talking, there is a disconnect between the citizen and our security agencies. Because you won't tell me that people living around this don't know that something of such is happening. There are 2 basic elements. One, they have this information, but they can't pass it on to the security agencies because they feel that it could be traced back to them. And that becomes a problem. And it has happened time and time again. Where in our security agencies, they say, oh, you see something, say something. You finally see something, say something, they will shut your mouth. And it becomes a problem. So when there's that trust deficit between the security agencies and the citizen, then it becomes a problem. That is one. The second aspect of it, citizen, is that of the 3 people that we have been, 3 of them are not Nigerians. Go and find out. They are not Nigerians. From what I've heard, I stand to be corrected. They are not Nigerians. So how do they have access to some of these things? And explosive is not something you just bring. Because for you to have explosive, then you must have a license, you must have a kind of license from the Office of National Security Advisor. It's not just anybody. So those are the issues. So when we look at that, and I said, then something is wrong somewhere. Then you ask yourself, if these people have gone ahead to start manufacturing bomb, because these are what the things we use for, then it becomes a security challenge for us. Now, the last leg for me is not just bring them to court and just say, oh, brother, citizen, in the next 2-3 weeks, we drop this story and we'll move to the next. And that's what's happened. And nobody has any question any longer.
Chris, and then you hear there are folks who are ready to give it back to the media.
No, they say
will go to sleep.
They'll say the media, of course.
Including us.
Yes, no, even the media. Yeah. And it's true. There's no story. It depends that whatever that lasts more than 2 weeks on the cover of any paper or even national television.
Look at the footage.
Look at the footage.
Yeah.
Look at the footage. If you know the number of houses that were destroyed here, the loss of one single life is enough for me. Now we don't even know the number.
In peacetime.
In peacetime. And you see this. Then it becomes a problem. I hope that this will not be the last that we hear of this. They will set up committees. This committee will bring in a report. They set up another committee to look at the report of the committees, and we continue to move as if nothing happened. Everybody has gone to sleep as if nothing happened until the next one.
Okay. Wale, is it too late to make amends? Because after listening to him, painfully listening to him, I get the impression we're too far away from home.
I think so. If you drive around all our cities, Ibadan and all that, you will still see people selling, you see people filling gases right, in places where, heavily populated areas. And you ask yourself, yes, they've taken them to federal high court. What is the state government doing? It's not just about going to court, because justice, like Justice Oputa said, is a three-way traffic.
Yeah.
Justice for the perpetrators of crime, justice for the society, and then justice for victims of crime. So now you've taken them to court. What about those whose homes, some have become homeless? What happened to them? Homes totally destroyed. Elderly men who are living on their retirement. And from what we are seeing, this can happen again and again. There was a fellow that was speaking on social media who was defending, what happened and all that. Nothing has happened to him. He's not even one of those who has been arrested now. And who owns that building? Who owns that building that was given to these people to hide these materials? So I think there are a lot of fundamental issues that you almost come to the conclusion that we hope that law is not just for some people.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for certain people.
While there's a law, there's the justice.
Yeah.
Our colleague here is also a lawyer.